She was alone in the house, the silence pressing against her ears like a living thing. Then she heard it, her own voice, whispering her name from the attic. It wasn't just eerie, it was impossible. Who could be up there? And why did it sound so much like her? The moment she took the first step toward the stairs, a chill crawled down her spine, and the world seemed to hold its breath. Hello, my friends. I am Olivia, and this is Olivia's Love Stories. I hope you enjoy this story. I had always believed my house was just a quiet, ordinary place, a modest two-story home tucked between the elm trees at the edge of town. I spent most days buried in my work at the bookstore and most nights curled up on the faded sofa with a cup of chamomile tea. My life was simple, almost painfully predictable, and yet I felt a hollow ache I couldn't quite name. I craved something. Adventure? Connection? Maybe both. But mostly, I craved to feel alive in a way that didn't leave me staring at the ceiling, wondering if I was wasting my life. It was a Tuesday evening when it started. The house was unusually still, the kind of still that makes your own breathing sound too loud. I had been unpacking a stack of old journals in the attic, relics from my grandmother, the kind of things you find tucked in boxes and forgotten for decades. Her handwriting was delicate, curling across yellowed pages, and I felt her presence hovering close, like a whisper in the corner of the room. I was halfway down the stairs, carrying one of the heavier boxes, when I first thought I heard it, a soft, tentative whisper echoing through the rafters above me. Olivia. My heart stuttered in my chest. I froze. It was faint, almost like the wind brushing through the cracks in the roof, but my skin prickled, and a cold sweat gathered at the back of my neck. I tried to convince myself it was just my imagination. After all, who else would be up there? My friends had all gone home hours ago, and my neighbor, Mrs. Carmichael, was notoriously scared of even the faintest creak in the floorboards. I told myself it was my grandmother's presence lingering, some old memory trapped in the wood and dust. Still, the whisper came again, more distinct this time. Olivia. I dropped the box. The sound seemed to wrap around my name, pulling it from my lips like it was my own voice echoing back at me. But it wasn't me. It was impossible, yet undeniably there. My chest tightened as a sick thrill ran through me. My heart beat so loudly I was certain it would shatter the quiet of the house, and yet I couldn't move. I could hear it more clearly now, every syllable deliberate, measured, and terrifyingly familiar. My own voice, whispering from above. The attic door was closed, but I swore I could feel the air tremble, hear the shadows shift, as though the house itself had decided to watch me, to test me. Some part of me screamed to run, to slam the front door and never return. But another part, an insatiable, trembling curiosity, urged me up the stairs, step by step, until I reached the landing and stared at the attic hatch. My fingers hovered over the cold brass handle. Then it whispered again, "Olivia?" And that was when the attic light flickered on by itself. My breath caught in my throat as the attic light pulsed softly, casting long, distorted shadows across the ceiling. My fingers trembled against the brass handle, every instinct screaming at me to run. But something deeper, a fragile, desperate part of me, pushed me forward. I needed to know. I had to know. I pulled the attic door open slowly, and the hinges groaned like a wounded animal. The air inside was thick with dust and the faint scent of old wood and mothballs. The shadows twisted along the walls as if they were alive, writhing toward me. I stepped inside, my bare feet brushing over the worn carpet, my heart hammering in my ears. Then I saw it, or rather her, a mirror propped against the far wall, partially covered by a moth-eaten sheet. My own reflection stared back at me, pale and wide-eyed, but there was something wrong. My reflection moved before I did. Its lips parted in a whisper, shaping my name with uncanny precision. Olivia. I stumbled back, my hand slamming against the wall for support. My knees felt like lead, my mind frantically searching for a rational explanation. It's just a reflection. Mirrors do weird things in low light. The wind rattled the window. But the voice wasn't my imagination. It was me, and it wasn't. I could feel a cold draft brushing past me, swirling around my ankles, lifting the dust into tiny spirals that glowed faintly in the flickering light. I wanted to scream, but no sound came out. Every fiber of my being screamed to run, yet I found myself rooted to the spot, eyes locked on the mirror. And then I noticed the writing, faint, etched into the glass as if someone had pressed a finger while it was still wet. "You're not alone." My hands shook violently as I pressed closer, trying to wipe away the haze, but it wasn't dirt or condensation. It was a message, and somehow I knew it was meant for me. A sudden creak behind me made me spin around, heart in my throat. The attic was empty, just the stacks of boxes, the old furniture draped in sheets, the forgotten relics of a life I barely remembered. And yet the whispers continued, growing louder, closer, as if circling me, surrounding me from every shadowed corner. Olivia. Olivia. I backed away, my fingertips grazing the edge of an old trunk. The air was thick now, heavy with anticipation, like the house itself was holding its breath. I felt a presence, something familiar but impossibly distant, brushing against my consciousness. My chest tightened, and an inexplicable ache sank deep into my bones. And then I realized the whisper wasn't just calling my name. It was calling me home. I took another step back, my mind racing. The rational part of me shouted to escape, to flee from this madness, but a stronger, deeper instinct pulled me forward. I needed answers. I needed the truth. And in that moment, the whisper changed. My own lips moved in the mirror, but the words weren't mine anymore. "Olivia, come closer." I froze, every muscle in my body screaming at me to stop, but my feet moved before my brain could catch up. Step by step, I crossed the attic, the whisper curling around me like smoke, thick and tantalizing. My reflection in the mirror had stopped mimicking me now. It was alive in its own right, tilting its head, studying me with an intensity that felt too intimate, too knowing. "Olivia," the voice breathed again, closer now, as if it were standing right behind me, though the air was still. I swallowed hard, the taste of iron filling my mouth. The attic that had felt familiar moments ago now seemed alien, alive with some hidden energy. Boxes rattled on their own, dust motes danced like sparks, and shadows pooled in the corners like waiting creatures. Then I noticed something I hadn't before. The mirror wasn't just reflecting me. Behind my reflection, faintly etched into the glass like an afterimage, were fragments of another life, memories that weren't mine. I saw flashes of a little girl, laughing under sunlight I didn't recognize. A man, gentle but sorrowful, holding a baby. Faces, places, moments that tugged at the edges of my memory, though I couldn't place them. A voice, softer now, but tinged with sorrow, whispered from the mirror. "You've forgotten, haven't you?" My chest tightened. Forgotten? How could I have forgotten something I never knew? My knees threatened to give out, but I steadied myself against the trunk. The reflection's eyes, my eyes, held a gravity that pinned me to the spot. The attic seemed to close in around me. I felt dizzy, my mind spinning with questions I didn't have answers for. Was this a memory? A message? A warning? Then the whispers coalesced into a single, clear thought, echoing in my very bones. Your life isn't what you think it is. We're still connected. I stumbled back, clutching the edge of the mirror as if it were the only thing keeping me tethered to reality. My heart raced, my head pounding. I wanted to scream, to run down the stairs and never look back, but some invisible thread held me there, fragile but unbreakable. It called me forward, even as terror screamed in my ears. And then I heard it. The attic hatch creaked again, this time from above, not behind me. The air shifted. I couldn't see anyone, yet I knew something, or someone, was up there. My hands flew to my face to stifle a gasp. The whisper, my voice, came again, urgent, pleading. "Olivia, don't be afraid. It's me." Everything froze. The boxes, the dust, the shadows. Even my racing heart seemed to pause as I realized the impossible truth. It wasn't just a whisper, and it wasn't just a memory. Someone up there, in the attic, was speaking to me in my own voice. Someone who knew me intimately. Someone I thought I'd never see again. A chill ran down my spine, and I felt my stomach twist into knots. I had to know. I had to see who or what was up there. I pressed my trembling hand against the attic hatch, my heart threatening to shatter with anticipation and fear. And just as I began to lift the hatch, the whisper came one last time, urgent and heart-wrenching. "Olivia, it's time you remembered." I lifted the attic hatch, my fingers trembling so violently I thought I might drop the handle. A rush of stale, cool air met me, carrying a faint scent of lavender, my grandmother's favorite, mixed with something else, something I couldn't name, but somehow recognized in the deepest part of my heart. And then I saw him. Not a shadow, not a trick of the light. A man crouched in the corner, holding a small, flickering lantern. His eyes, warm, familiar, impossibly familiar, met mine, and my breath caught in my throat. He wasn't just anyone. He was him. The man I thought I had lost long ago, whose memory had haunted the edges of my life like a half-remembered dream. "Olivia," he whispered, his voice trembling, mirroring the one I had heard for hours in that mirror. "I didn't want you to find out like this, but you had to remember." I shook my head, words failing me. My eyes darted to the mirror, where my reflection now smiled faintly, eyes glimmering with recognition. The whispers, the voice, it wasn't me calling me. It was him, speaking through echoes of memory, through pieces of the past we had shared, but that time had tried to bury. I don't understand," I choked out. Why are you here? How do you know me?" He stepped closer, holding out his hands, and I could see the tremor of desperation in his movements. "You were gone, Olivia, taken too soon. I've been trying to reach you in every way I could, hoping you'd remember who you are, who we were." My chest tightened, tears welling in my eyes. Something deep inside me shifted. The hollow ache that had always lingered began to fill with recognition, with connection, with relief. All the missed moments, the lost years, the unspoken words, they were all converging in this attic, In this single, impossibly real moment, I stepped forward, drawn by a force stronger than fear. I remember. I think I do, I whispered, voice shaking. The mirror behind me rippled like water, and for a fleeting moment, I saw not just my reflection, but a memory of us, laughing under the sun, hands entwined, hearts unbroken. He reached out, brushing a stray strand of hair from my face, and the air seemed to hum with something unspoken. We've been given a second chance, Olivia. Don't let it slip away this time. I inhaled sharply, the attic no longer oppressive, but alive with warmth and possibility. The fear that had gripped me for hours melted into a trembling joy I couldn't contain. I took his hand, and for the first time in years, the ache inside me felt whole, complete. The whispers faded, leaving only our voices, our laughter, filling the attic. And as I looked into his eyes, I finally understood. Some bonds, no matter how buried, no matter how long lost, could never truly be broken. And in that small, dusty attic, under the flickering lantern light, I finally came home.